Hi, I'm Christian Kabwai, founder of Babayin.com. 2011 was a great year for Babayin. I'll be giving you an overview of the top events this year, as well as a review of my personal projects and what to expect in 2012. So let's get started. The top Babayin events of 2011. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is the Cacao Stone. This rock right here caused a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but let's just say it caused a lot of news. And on my site, I wrote about 3 or 4 articles on the stone. It really was just meant to be, one article about it, and just with my opinion as well as others in the Babayin community. But it turned into some drama with some professors in UP after GMA quoted a few of us in the community, and there was a lot of back and forth. So I think I had maybe, like I said, I think I had about 4. But at the end of this year, I haven't heard anything about the stone. I know that they had a conference, but I don't know what the outcome was. Maybe they have, released some of the statements elsewhere, but I haven't seen any of it. This is one of the articles that I wrote to, I guess, answer back one of the professors about our supposed knee-jerk conclusions. Here's another one about the conference that it happened, I think, probably a couple months right after the stone. It was put on by the Babayin Buhayan guys. And they also did a Babayin festival. Here is that. One of the other top Babayin events was the proposed national script at the Babayin bill. Basically, it is a bill that would make Babayin the national script of the Philippines. And also, what's interesting is that they want that there would be a law that all locally produced and processed items in the Philippines would have Babayin translation on the label. I think it's a good idea, but difficult to implement. There's a lot of questions and issues that should be talked about. Just a couple of them is that we don't have a standard. Who's going to educate those? Who's going to head the Babayin program? And it's just going to be expensive. What about all the machinery that's going to be needed to make that change? All the street signs, all the address changes, and there's just a bunch of things that need to be talked about before implementing something like this. But I think, in the spirit, the end goal is good, but there's a lot of other things, just like what about the living scripts, the mangyan, kulitan. There's a lot of say potential regionalism ideas that some people may not like. So all of this has to be talked about. So there was also a Babayin conference, and this was in Rizal at the Angono caves. You'll see this photo. We have some familiar faces. We have Dr. Bonnie in the green barong, right? The white guy next to him is Christopher Miller, and we have Norman and Jay Inagi and John of Liquid and Liquid. What was interesting is that Chris has been very vocal about some of the theories that Dr. Bonnie has proposed. But it was good to see all of them together because, again, at the end of the day, we want to promote this script. I think it was a huge success, as you can see in the stadium. I think there was about 6,000 or 7,000 people, most of them teachers, I believe, that they were sponsored or required to go by the Department of Education. And one of the benefits of this was that, like I mentioned, Norman was able to go there and meet Jay, and he launched Anak Batala this year, which was his game back in the day, but now it's come back into a comic, graphic novel, merchandise, and you'll see the Babayin right there in the center. So it's about the mysticism of the Philippines, as well as our ancient traditions. Very cool. And I mentioned Babayin Buhayan. They have the resources, the pull, they have the money to actually do stuff out there. This is one event that I kind of helped them out with. It was a workshop, or more of a talk actually, at Don Santos Academy down in Southern California. For those that don't know, Don Inosanto, he was one of the students, his most famous student of the late great Bruce Lee. So that's us right there at his academy. Yeah, Jay, he's the head of Babayin Buhayan. He's kind of become the face of Babayin in the Philippines. He's a great talker. Here he is being interviewed by Channel 5. And his partner in crime, John of Liquid and Liquid, he comes from the design industry. There he is on the right with the glasses, and this is their clothing line, Una, which is geared towards Filipino mixed martial arts. Very cool. They also do a lot of corporate identity as well. And again, a lot of beautiful design. They do have a technology edge to them as well. This right here isn't Babayin related, but in 2010 they did release the very first Babayin app in the Philippines, and this right here is actually a Filipino or Philippine-made tablet. Kulitan has kind of made a pretty bigger splash this year compared to 2010 with Mike Pangilinan, and through the help of Facebook and just a lot of people being interested in the script and trying to learn other things, because after Babayin, all right, let's see what else is out there, and it's being developed, and with the help of Norman, he's creating fonts and type pads and helping keep this script alive. And as well, there's other within the Kabambangan community. There's a clothing line, Wear Kabambangan. So what they're actually doing is they're kind of empowering themselves, not relying on, say, the Tagalogs or the supposed Tagalog script. They are actually mobilizing, creating their own clothing, their own, say, books, their own subculture. Tattoo artists are using Kulitan. So just right there just shows you that if you don't feel that say Babayin represents yourself or your region, your language, then do something about it. And these guys are a perfect example for that. I myself need to learn it. And there's a street art collective that they do a lot of wheat pasting, which is something that I do as well, and they use Babayin, which is awesome. So Babayin also has been in the mainstream. When I say mainstream, I don't mean pop culture, but I'm just saying, like, it's an underlining a discrete usage of the script. For a while we've seen it as logos in saying government seals, things like that. But now we're seeing it as a in design as well. So here's a Travel Cafe Philippines, and they're using the Palmero font for their looks like a gift box, as well as on the walls in their little cafe. This right here is Bayani art based out of San Francisco Bay Area. Again, they're using the script. I believe that's my font that they use on a mug. So you're gonna see it in a lot of products. And this year, we saw it a lot more than in 2010. And my friend Christine Balza, she had a pretty good year. To my best knowledge, she had the very first art show that was specifically all Babayin. I went to that opening. It was at the Linen Life Gallery. Pretty successful event. Also, there were two books by a couple gentlemen. One was The Ancient Healer and Filipino Tattoos. This is Virgil Apostol and Lane Wilkin on the right. Both books have a few pages about Babayin, worth checking out. And in terms of media, there's a lot more media mentions of the script this year. And out of the three media outlets in the Philippines, you have ABS-CBN, GMA, Channel 5. I think the obvious winner is GMA. Channel 5, I don't have that much access to it, but I don't think they mentioned anything in ABS-CBN. I don't think they mentioned it at all. I mean, GMA had multiple shows dedicated to the script, and here's one of them. This came out right after the discovery of the supposed Rizal stone in Masbate, and it was a documentary. It was pretty much headed by Howie Severino of GMA, and what he did was actually go down there and find out if what are they doing about this stone, is it real or not. And it was pretty interesting to see what what he found out, but again, there was no conclusions, but I have to think that GMA did a good job about that. And additionally, they had a special called Philippine Treasures. And you see the white guy at the bottom, again, that's Christopher Miller. He went out there to see the stone, just to see if this is actually an ancient artifact or not. Not only did they feature Babayin, but they feature, the Golden Tara, which is on the right. They sent one of the hosts to Chicago, the Field Museum, to see if, what the reason is, why they have the Golden Tower there, or if they can return it to the Philippines where it belongs. So this is another show. A couple more shows too from GMA. They had Amaya, which is a very popular drama series where she taught the script. But there was some issues, but you know what? Hey, it was still something that was good for the community and the education. There was a lot of folks that were exposed because of this TV show, and of course Pintados, which they use a script in their logo. And again, GMA in the US. So that's me being interviewed for a GMA US show called Power ng Pinoy. Basically, I told my story about how I discovered Babayin, how I use it for community building, giving back, and as well as the business aspect. So just right there's like 4 or 5 things that just GMA did in 2011 to help promote Babayin. So festivals and events. I didn't do that many this year. So if you can see with the chart, in 2009 I did 17 events. 2010 I did 12, and in 2011 I only did 8. The reason for this was, again, the economy is kind of crappy, but then I also had to pick and choose my events. I wanted to focus more time on developing products and delivering value. So a lot of times at these events, I just sit there with Ray. We just stare at each other, and these things are expensive. They cost up to $500 for a day or 2 days. So we have to make that up, in terms of sales, and we're lucky if we break even. So we had to be pretty picky this year. And myself, I wanted to focus again more on products and a couple more things that I'll show you in the next slides. But here's some highlights of the events that I did this year. Probably one of the good ones was the Filipino American International Book Festival. This was in October to celebrate Filipino American History Month. And what was special about this was that, one, it was the very first one, and there was I think about a dozen or so authors from the Philippines that flew in, and national artists, and ex-president Ramos was there as well. And Ray, our buddy from Southern California, came up and joined Ray and I in our booth for 2 days. So it was pretty good to meet face to face, and kind of get Norman to see what we do, and get some of his knowledge, pick his brain, because he has a lot of information as well. So we all learned a lot from each other, but it was good. We plan to do it again in 2012. There's a shot of our typical booth setup. I think we started this in late 2010 at the Pistan, and in 2011 we continued it. You notice that we don't really put out Babayin out there. It's more just our logos, so it attracts more attention. You walk through other booths and festivals, you see the two Katipunan flags, and you see our logos. You think, oh man, what is this? This is pretty cool. So people drop by. Also did a revamp of the Filipino American Food and Arts Festival. This is a festival that has been running in Daly City for years, a long time, and they stopped in 2010. But this year they kind of redid it and made it food and arts, which might have helped because I did it this year and it was pretty good. So I hope to do it again next year. And this is at the I just did this one. This was at the Sonoma County Museum. This was for a Smithsonian traveling exhibition. So they are there until January. So I was invited there to talk about Babayin, do translations, and just pretty much represent the script and the Bay Area, because this exhibit travels from city to city. And these two ladies were the one in the black, Karen. She was the organizer, and what she's holding there is one of my prototypes of a project I did this year. It is the perfume Sha, and the other lady is holding a copy of my book. This is an event I did again for GMA. Well, no, not GMA, for Power ng Pinoy, which is a GMA show. This is at Seafood City, so I did a pretty much just sign. I didn't sell anything, just signing name tags for the kids and the families out there. It's a completely different demographic than I'm used to, but it was a lot of fun. And this is from the Pistahan. What was cool about this year was that we had 4 booths. Man, it was pretty crowded. If you're ever in San Francisco in August, you should check it out. It's usually the second week of August. And there, Ray, he did some live burning of his pendants. So you can order something and he would burn it right then and there on the spot. Another event I did, this one is with GMA in Vallejo at the Dobo Festival. So I was there to help promote the Power ng Pinoy TV show and sign some cards, translate people's names. Oh, here's another Pistahan photo. We had a toy show. So this was kind of different than our other Pistahan festivals, because we try to have a gallery. Last year we had a mini display of Filipino tattoos and the mangyans. But this year we had Monies, which are kid robot toys, and we had artists from the Bay Area down to LA submit them. We'll probably do it again next year. And this brought a different crowd into our booth. We had some foreigners, we had a bunch of kids, but it felt different. Usually we would get a lot of students that were interested in the script, but this brought in kids, which was awesome. This project here was at the Contemporary Jewish Museum here in San Francisco. It was also a collaboration with the Asian Art Museum. I obviously represented the Asian Art Museum, and the lady next to me is Julie, and she is she specializes in the Hebrew writing system, and she was at the Jewish Museum actually writing the Torah. She's completely handwriting it, and she is there because we wanted to kind of they wanted us to talk to each other and learn about the differences or the similarities within our cultures, and as well as the writing systems. What are the issues that we face with the current writing system, trying to get it back into the mainstream. This event right here, it wasn't. This was strictly not a Babayin event. This was actually a business networking mixer that I did for Power ng Pinoy, and in here I talked about the framework that I used for the Babayin movement, and how I do it by myself as a solo entrepreneur while having a full-time job. And what's on the screen, if you can see it, it says Living Room CEO. It's another website that I run, but what I'm planning to do next year is that all the things that I learned or experimented with Babayin, it's going to be documented on there for people to download, people to emulate, and all the case studies. In 2011, because I didn't do that many events, I wanted to focus on these things, which was education, school. So I did 3 events. I did 3 workshops and lectures. One was at Cal Berkeley, San Francisco State, and Stanford. What I did here was that I brought my, here it is, Babayin school. I brought them to the students there, and just to kind of experiment to see how they would react. Because my other workshops was just basically, yeah, this is the script, this is how you write it. But this one I actually had I don't want to say I didn't want it to make it bookish. But this is something that I wanted to kind of try out, and just to see, like, instead of just explaining it to them, try and get more interaction. Instead of just saying, this is how you do it, like, this is the Tagalog word for, say, strong is lakas, and you would write la and then ka, and then that's the traditional way. And you would write the S and then cancel the bottom. So I try to think of a different way, because a lot of the students didn't speak Tagalog or any other Filipino language. So I tried to teach it in a way that they can relate. So one of the things I did this year was I did a survey about why people hesitate to learn Babayin, and 33% of them said that it's the language. So wow, language shouldn't be a barrier, because I don't speak Tagalog that great, but I still learned it, because all it is a set of systematic rules. So whatever language, like if you're gonna spell dog, you can still write it in Babayin, and then later, once you learn the rules, then you can go ahead and apply it to the language. So this was pretty much an experiment, and I think it was successful. Here's a shot. This is in Berkeley. I like to put a little, funny things into the slides, just so that the audience doesn't fall asleep. And this is one thing that I tried to kind of get into their brains, is that, if you don't speak the language, you could still learn it. It's not a blocker. So some of my projects this year, I did quite a few. First I did a whole site redesign. The old site was pretty much plain, or it was just about the translator. But I needed to highlight some of my posts as well as projects. Did the mobile applications, which was the translators, one for the iPhone as well as the Android. And I did a Twitter feed, because I'm pretty active on Twitter. You follow me, Babayin, on Twitter, and I created a feed just so that people can go to it. It's a feed.babayin.com, and you can see all the conversations that mention Babayin and Alibata. I did a perfume this year just as an experiment, and this is it. I initially wanted it to be a unisex, but then later, as I started developing the product, I found out that it was tough, and there aren't that many successful unisex scents, because guys don't want to smell like chicks, and chicks in general don't want to smell like guys. They're two completely different sexes and senses. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna relaunch it, or officially launch it in 2012, around right before Valentine's Day, and it's gonna be strictly a women's scent, and it's gonna smell good. So look out for that. And here's some of the designs, kind of the feel that I wanted. The reason why I chose perfume, because I wanted something else that rather than a canvas or a t-shirt, I wanted another way to express the art and the culture. And obviously that hasn't been done yet with a scent, so why not? This is one of my favorite projects. This was actually started back in 2010 when I was in the Philippines. When the story about how this came about was in 2010, I was filming my documentary, and I met up with the guys from Whipcaps. We had coffee at I don't know, I think it was Starbucks or something. We met in Greenbelt, hit it off, and just talked about a couple things about maybe doing a collaboration. I wanted to know more about their company. They wanted to know more about the script and what I do. And we emailed back and forth for a while, and came up with a design. And this is what I really wanted. This right here is probably one of the best things that I've ever done. I wanted a hat, but I didn't want it just to be a plain black hat with the white logo. There would just be a lot of hats. So I said, what can I make that'll make it different? What can I make it to stand out, especially in the Philippines? Even more there, because this is one of my very first products that was available in the Philippines, because most of it is just strictly available in the US. I said, all right, how is it going to be different? And I said, all right, let's make a white hat. Let's make something that is, why are you going to wear a white hat? It's dirty. It's going to get dirty. I forget it, man. I don't care if it's going to get dirty. I said, want something white, want something that's leather or looks leather. Just something that really stands out, and I'm real happy with the final product. So I plan to kind of pursue these types of projects. Every time I try and make something, I want it to look different. And here's some of the photos for the promotion of the hat. And here's a couple of customers. There was only 300 of these made. The girl, I think she got like number 77 out of 300. The photo in the middle is from a store in Greenbelt. I forget the name of the store, and the dude on the right, he's a rapper, and his name is Batas. Look him up. Is my shirt. I actually launched the shirt in 2010, but a few people asked permission if they can print my shirts out there. I said, why? They wanted to make their own. So I think that I'm gonna kind of pursue. I don't like doing t-shirts because one, you have a lot of inventory, and I just don't like holding inventory. But next year I think I'm gonna put out a couple more. I did a project for Manny Pacquiao actually last year or this year, and he launched a perfume or a scent. Scent of the Champion. You may not notice it, but at the bottom there's Babayin on his website. The website's no longer available because I think this whole scent was just an experiment. But when I developed the site, I wanted to add something that was different and unique, and I added in Babayin Babangsang. Where is it? I can't even see it. Oh yeah, it says Babangsang Kamau. And it's at the bottom at the footer. You can barely see it because I didn't want it to take away from the header at the very top. But I was able to sneak in by buying on a Manny Pacquiao project. And also my bread and butter tattoos. Here's a few of my favorites that I did this year. Well, I didn't tattoo, but people use my artwork. And the one in the middle is probably my favorite one, because I didn't think the dude was gonna make it that big. I was also featured in this iPhone magazine. It was because of my artwork and pretty much promoting the script. It was a short-lived interview, but it was pretty nice. So 2012, what am I going to be working on? You've probably seen on my Facebook, I've been showing off these markers. So I'm going to make a couple markers. One is going to be a double-sided design marker that is perfect for writing the script. One's going to be a chisel and the other is going to be a brush. Because everyone uses Sharpies. Sharpies are good, but then they fade, or or they're too hard. So I wanted to get a different type of marker and brand it as well. So the marker is going to have a chart on it that you can see all the characters. So if you forget, okay, look at the marker. Then I'm gonna make another one that's geared towards the art crowd. So also, this is something I'm hoping to launch next year officially. I've had a few clients already, but I want to get a couple more before putting this out there. So maybe towards the mid to end of 2012. But basically, I wanted to separate the tattoo and art commissions from my commercial projects that I do with businesses. And this is pretty much an agency that would focus on the commercial aspect of Babayin, like businesses that want logos or things translated, or t-shirt companies that want to use, say, my fonts for commercial purposes. And this is where they would go. And also maybe it could be a hub too. Like if you know Babayin, then I could kind of help you guys get clients as well. So that's something that I'm working on. This is an acrylic prototype of I want to do a jewelry line that that's sort of leaning towards the higher end. I've been talking to a few folks for the last couple of years that I want to make something that's not wood, but something that is really nice. So this is just a prototype made of black acrylic, but I think I'm gonna have at least one jewelry project next year, and it'll be something like this. And as I mentioned earlier, that I'm gonna continue doing more clothing next year. I want to have more things in the Philippines, but this is a limited edition hoodie that I released this year. But next year I'm gonna have a couple more projects just like this. But again, I want to have presence in the Philippines. So I'm gonna look for stores where I can sell my stuff. Also, a new web translator. The translator that's on the iPhone and the Android is actually better than what's on Babayin.com right now. If you're good and you're able to search, you'll be able to find this translator out there. But I have big plans for this, and I already actually have someone helping me out developing it. So I hope to have it out in probably the mid 2012 timeframe. And again, Babayin School. I wanted to release it earlier this year, but then I felt that I needed to go out there and test it out. And that's why I went to Stanford, Berkeley, and as well as San Francisco State. Did a lecture on it at the San Francisco Public Library as well. So I just wanted to test to see if the technique or the content was good, and I think that it was. So I'm going to be launching that hopefully first quarter of 2012. I didn't do any art in 2011, nothing really new. But in 2012, I'm going to do something that is a completely different direction of the script. It may not make sense to all, but I think that from an art aspect, I think that the script has to kind of move out from what is traditional and kind of grow out there, even though if it may or may not fit the essence of Babayin. So some people will hate it, but oh well. And my documentary. I originally envisioned this film to be done this year, 2011, but I started editing in late 2010, and I realized that I needed more content. And some of the footage that I took isn't that great, or maybe that I'm just not. I guess maybe I'm a perfectionist or something, but I just feel like there I need more. So I'm gonna go to the Philippines around June or July for a few weeks and continue filming. And as well, I'm planning to have a new book. I'm not sure if it's gonna be an update, a new edition of an introduction to Babayin, because man, that really needs to be updated. Or if it's gonna be a new book, maybe a combination of an introduction to Babayin expanded edition with a bunch of interviews that I did for the documentary. Who knows? So the business aspect is something that I really want to do next year. I want to help practitioners and artists become profitable so that they have more incentive to continue writing. I'm making a blueprint of what I do for bybind.com so that others can copy it. And I really hope that people out there that are practitioners and artists don't quit because they have to go to school, or they get married, or they have a kid or something like that, because life happens, and then this script is a luxury. So hopefully that we don't have people quitting. Again, the Philippines. I mentioned that I was going to go out there to film my documentary. I also hope to have a free projects while I'm out there. I love to have an art show when I'm there. So anyone have any contacts, let me know. And also connect with a couple businesses out there and collaborate some more. And one last thing that I want to do in 2012 is have a conference here. The Babayin Buhayin guys, they did the first conference, and it should be in the Philippines, but since a lot of the active practitioners are here, I think like, man, we should do one here. Ray and I have been talking about this for years, but it's difficult because we're not as big as those guys, or we don't have the connections or even the money and the resources that they have. But it's I think that I'm gonna kind of spearhead a conference, either in San Francisco, maybe in a physical or a virtual conference. But it's gonna happen this year for sure, or not this year, 2012. So that's it. That is 2011 in review, and I hope that I didn't miss anything. I think I captured all the major events in Babayin, and as well as my personal projects. And I think that 2012 will be an interesting one for the script. I just hope that we get more people that will practice the script and push it forward. So I'll talk to you guys again next year.